What's going on, guys? It's been a while since we talked about FF7 Rebirth, but we got some unexpected, surprising, and really good news we need to look at that I wanted to share with you guys and go over and get my thoughts on as well. Before we do that, huge shout out to Genki and Shinra Archaeology Department. They are the ones who translated this stuff and helped bring this to light. So I'll put their Twitters down below, or their X's, I guess. I'll put their information down below. Be sure to go check them out. So without further ado, the first thing I want to go into here is we have this little clip here of them saying that the final game in the trilogy will beat any expectation you have on it, so look out for great things. I'll play the little clip right here. We'll start it over. Any expectations. I mean, and they go on to say that this is, they want it to, we'll go over it later, but they want it to be the new, they want it to break records and be the new standard like OG FF7 was back in the day, which is super exciting, dude. I'm so happy to see that. Next thing we have here is Hamaguchi says that the third game in the FF7 Remake trilogy will beat any expectations fans have, like we just said. He says he is confident that it will be one of the most loved and most popular games in the history of video games once again, just as OG FF7 was back in the day, back in '97. So they're going for that, and I do not doubt that's the case. If they're able to pull off Part 3 the way I think they're going to be able to do that, it's going to be amazing, and I hope they do. I hope they do. Kitase says they will expand on and make the world of FF7 even bigger than it is now. He wants people to look forward to a synergy between nostalgia and new innovation. Funny word there, synergy. We know all about that with the game. But a synergy between nostalgia and new innovation, me personally, I know this is kind of a hot topic with some people. The synergy between new nostalgia and new innovation, I think they do a good job blending the two. Like with Remake, 99% of the game was almost a faithful remaster almost, with a few new things here and there, a few expanded story elements, new story elements added to make things much deeper. I mean, with Jesse, Biggs, and Wedge, we got like so much more time with them. We got to learn so much more about them than we did in OG, which I loved them in OG, but I really loved them in Remake, and it made their deaths hit even harder, and still to this day. It's so sad, like it's crazy. So they do a very good job, I think, balancing the nostalgia and new innovations and stuff as well. They have taken all the feedback and learning from the first two games, so it will be exactly what fans are looking for, and fans can look forward to great things. Next thing I wanted to go over is Hamaguchi says the High Wind will play a major part in the third game in the FF7 Remake trilogy. The High Wind. How are they going to do this? This is what I feel like most people have been looking forward to, is how's the High Wind going to work? Because you have a game as big as Rebirth, which we've kind of got it teased with Tiny Bronco. You can kind of fly around. Granted, you are on like rails kind of, but you do kind of you can move it around and stuff, right? And it does give you a sense of how big the world is. And we don't have the whole world unlocked yet. We still have Wutai, we still have Rocket Town, we still have that whole like left side, and I think the far northern part of the map still locked. So the High Wind is something that they have to focus on, and that they are focusing on, and that if they can nail that down, I have no doubt that this game, like, there's no reason for games to not have an open world anymore, really. But he says he can't say much, but the prototyping of the High Wind has reached quite a level now, and they have been able to create a new and special gameplay experience while traveling the world in the High Wind. He said he really wants to tell people what it is, but he can't. So please wait until they're able to reveal it. This reveal is going to be insane. As far as the new and special gameplay experience, let me know what you guys think that could be. I know in OG we do have a Chocobo stable inside of the High Wind. I don't think personally that they would do, I would hope that they wouldn't let us breed chocobos in the High Wind. I would much rather see us do that at the ranch on the ground and save that experience than give us a reason to go back to the ranches and do our chocobo breeding there on the ranches, so we have a reason to go back. As far as the gameplay experience in the High Wind, maybe they have like little time trials where you have like little rings you fly through and you gotta beat records or whatever like that. Kind of similar to how the Mr. Dolphin was. Maybe there are special battles we can initiate on the high wind and fight enemies in the air, because we do that with I think it's diamond weapon in OG. It's one of the weapons we fight in the sky. It'd be cool if we could do that more, and maybe we can like have enemy encounters in the high wind, and we can fight like that, maybe. Then he says the high wind is an essential element of OG FF7 for traveling freely around the world, so there is no option not to have it in the final game. I've had this thought since they announced the remake. There's no way they should make a remake or remaster of FF7 and not have the free travel of the high wind. There's no reason for that. That would ruin the game for so many people. So this is a given, and I'm happy they're taking it serious, right? And they're actually like, it seems that they're focusing heavily on what and how the high wind works in the world, the massive world of Rebirth, But he said it's not about if it will be there or not, but how they can make a new and exciting approach to those original elements. So I'm very, very, very excited for this. I cannot wait to see what this is. And then some more things here from Shinra Archaeology Department. FF7 Rebirth director Naoki Hamaguchi says you will be able to travel the world around the high wind. He says their prototyping and experimenting on the high wind has reached quite the level now. So they seem to be pretty far into the testing of the high wind and how they want things to go forward with that. And here we get some a little bit of stuff on Sid and Vincent, our boys. They seem to be heavily leaning on Tifa, which makes me think that at some point we're going to have Tifa be a big part of the game, which we already know. If you played OG, she does play a very heavy part toward the end of the game and stuff, and takes over as leader for a while. So they could be leaning toward that, and I guess maybe her and Sid and Vincent are going to have a dynamic in some way. I'm not sure what that is meaning here, why it says more of Tifa since Vincent and Sid will be controllable. That's interesting to me. This could be a translation thing, or they're actually going to make Tifa have a deeper connection relationship with Vincent and Sid. Because we know in Rebirth, Sid actually knows Elmira and noticed who Aerith was when she was a child. And he was actually hurt pretty bad when he learned about Elmira's passing. As far as Vincent goes, though, I'm not sure. So maybe I know Tifa and Sid could have a connection because of their connection with Aerith and how close they were with Aerith's mom and then Aerith herself. Maybe. I have no idea. They were asked if we can expect Tifa to suplex the enemies in Part 3. Hamaguchi says they do want to show more of Tifa in the third game and different aspects of her as a strong and powerful character. He cannot guarantee that she will suplex someone, but they'll look into it. So if you're unfamiliar with Tifa, in OG, she has one of her limit breaks, right, is a suplex, and she can suplex, I think, pretty much anything, almost, just anything, right? So if we could get that in some fashion in remake for it to make sense, because they're going to make it make sense, right? That'd be cool. Maybe just, I don't know, have her just suplex some giant kaiju or whatever. Have her got their suplex and diamond and ruby weapon or something. But I'm curious how they're going to implement those new limit breaks and stuff, and really show off Tifa's strength as she was in OG. Kitase says the story of FF7 was so amazing and resonated with so many people that they didn't want to change it, and they felt the story overall should stay as close as it could to the OG. But it's also adding in that extra detail and creating a new experience that fit in and add to that. I think they've done a great job with this, honestly. I know there's people out there that don't think so. I think they've done an amazing job with keeping the OG feeling and the OG themes. At least for me, it's been very good and very close, and they've just expanded on things, as I said before, especially when it comes to the Jessie and stuff. I just use that as an example. They really expanded on the story of Jessie, Biggs, and Wedge, and that wasn't anywhere in the OG, and it makes you feel for the characters more. I know there's people having issues with the Leslie scene in Remake, but while it was a bit slow, I did like it. I did appreciate it because I feel like it builds to the world, and I feel like Leslie is going to be a key player in Part 3 when it comes to Corneo. So I feel like that was kind of necessary to build up to Part 3. Yeah, it was sluggish, but I still think it was great, and it was his story was so sad. It makes you hate Don Corneo even more, right? So again, not an OG, but expanded to make you hate and see how nasty and gross and weird Don Corneo is. Even more so. Even more weird than his weird horse laugh, you know? He also says the big climax of Rebirth is the scene where you finally find out what happens, Aerith's fate. The way they added so many layers, changed it into a scene that can make you look into it in so many different ways. It is also a great example of how these scenes are enhanced. Another thing that was very jarring to people, me in particular, because I was kind of prepared for Aerith to have this whole scene, right? The fate thing. But I wasn't prepared for it in that way, and because of so much stuff was happening in that scene, it did take away from her, from the big thing that should have happened there, right? That happened in OG. But again, like with Leslie, I think this is leading up to a bigger, more deeper thing in part 3, and it's going to all make sense later, because there's a big chunk of OG missing with Cloud and Aerith there, with the water scene and how he's acting with Aerith and stuff. Now none of that was in OG. This is all new, but it's making you see how Cloud is like not okay, right? And it's going to, I feel like in part 3, once Cloud realizes what has happened to Aerith, I feel like that's really going to like not be good for him, and I feel like that would make his character even more tragic, sad, I guess. Katase says everyone's got their own take on what happened, but he asks, do you want to know what actually happened? He says to play the third part of the game, which makes sense. Let me know down below how you feel about the nostalgia and the new innovations. Do you feel like they're doing pretty well balancing those two things out? What is something you hope to see they add to the airship? What is the new mechanic or new experience that they're wanting to add to the airship, to the high wind? Let me know what you guys think about that down below. I'm very curious. I don't know what to expect with the high wind. I do hope we get to do more battles in the high wind, like on the little bridge or whatever. You know, you can maybe do more battles up in the sky in some way. That'd be cool. But it's nice to get some more Final Fantasy 7 news out there. It was good to see this. This is super exciting. Let me know what you guys think down below. Huge shout out to my YouTube members. I appreciate you guys. You guys help support the channel. Thank you. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.